Okay, so I promised you last week that we'll be a little laid back this week and nothing so heavy like last week. So we'll do something more pop culture-y, more like brain rotty, if you will. And I keep hearing people say, I can't believe that COVID was 5 years ago. Can you believe that it was so long ago already? And to me, I think it's kind of funny when people say that. Because, like, let's be real. When you're old, 5 years ago isn't that long ago. Then I started thinking about it. I started reminiscing, like, just even what I used to watch, like what YouTubers or what content I used to consume even 4 years ago. What am I talking about? I was a completely different person last year. Subscribe and see if I'm a completely different person next year. And you might be too. That's the fun part about the human experience is we're always evolving, we're always learning. And can you believe that it's almost been 4 years since the podcast Frenemies has ended? Now, the reason why I wanted to make this video is I feel like most people don't really remember why the podcast ended. They probably have a vague reason of why they think it ended, but only like a select group of us remember what really was happening behind the scenes. Now, a lot of the people I'm going to be talking about today, I don't watch much of them anymore. Like I said, I was a different person 4 years ago. I do wish them all the best, but I do want to say everything I say is alleged just because I am going to be talking about some big egos, some big egotistical, maybe narcissistic characters in this video. And just for that same reason, I'm probably not going to use that many clips or like videos just because I don't want anyone to get pissy and petty. But what's important to remember in this video is that there's two different audiences we're going to be talking about, discussing. The people in the video have two different polar opposite audiences. We have an adult audience that likes to hear about like news and that understand politics, and then on the other hand, we have a very 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 young a very young audience. And Ethan Klein was hoping that there was no crossover in both these audiences.
Hi.
Hello. Hello, it's me. Hi. I'm the crossover audience. Anyone else? I wanted to make a video back then because I hated what Ethan did to Trisha. I used to love watching Trisha and it will I'm getting ahead of myself when he canceled her. But I was afraid of Ethan's rageful mongoloid phantom he created. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. It's been 4 years. We've had time to mature and grow up. I'm sure they all have became outstanding members of society. Even though I have heard rumors that they are calling CPS on Ethan Klein now and they're calling the cops on him and swatting, which that could be so dangerous in itself. This story is mainly about Ethan Klein. This story is about ego, revenge, and karma. I got notes. So I will be discussing the following YouTubers: Ethan Klein, Trisha Paytas, Steven Crowder, Sam Cedar, who I've never heard of before this drama, and Hasan Piker a little bit at the end. I think it's best if we start the story backwards and we do it how we first start with the story how the kids remember. The normies that follow Ethan and Trisha, how they remember it ending. And then we'll do like and like go back in the future what really happened earlier. Strike that. I actually want to start off by reminding everyone, remember when Jordan Peterson warned Ethan Klein about pandering to the communist left and the racist identity politics of it all, that the mob would eventually turn on him? What did he say exactly? He said, and that's what Ethan is going through right now. You will be held to a higher and higher and soon impossible maintain ethical standard by the very mob you currently wish to please. Then you will make a mistake and then they will devour you with glee. Please take this as a warning. Seriously, I like you. Personally, I've never watched Ethan's content before Frenemies, but I heard he had like before he did more like edgy humor, like bro humor. I don't know. Like I don't, the same thing I heard about Hasan Piker. Like before he started doing his political videos, he did more like how to pick up girls, like Andrew Tate-ish kind of videos. But Jordan Peterson was right. Like, I don't understand how Ethan Klein pandered to this woke mob audience when he met Trisha by body shaming her in a video and saying that she catfishes people.
A lot of people. Do you watch?
And then, like, to go further, people like their chemistry because she would act ditzy and he would bully her further and make fun of her. That's not woke. That's being rude. That's being an a-hole. Okay, let's get back to that day, June 8th, 2020. Anywho, so Ethan was already upset that day, the day he gets in a fight with Trish, but we'll get into that later, like I said. Poor Trish. Anytime she came on Frenemies, she was always super excited because the podcast was doing very well and she loves dollar signs. So she was excited she was getting this new audience and that it was so every time she came in, she was so excited, you know, to do the show. Well, Ethan wasn't excited that day, but she didn't know that. Okay, anywho's. So the fight between Trish and Ethan starts because Trish starts talking about the movie Brokeback Mountain. And you can tell, in my opinion, Ethan looks very uncomfortable with the conversation. Now, my whole life, all my best friends have been gay men. So I know when a straight man is really uncomfortable with gay talk. And in my opinion, Ethan is very uncomfortable. He's rudely talking to people off camera. He's not paying attention to Trish. Well, Trish soon realizes this, and because he's trying to move on to like a Q&A portion, and she gets upset, rightfully so, and she's like, no, a Q&A portion, that is lazy, and she thinks it's just lazy content, so they start arguing about it.
Can I say one more thing? Did you ever see Brokeback Mountain? I watched that last night.
I actually never watched it, but I know the plot.
Jokes about it, like during the Oscars, and I don't know.
Is there a third pizza?
You're so not good about this. Okay, let's go to your stupid.
Okay, well, what you want to talk more about the Brokeback Mountain? You need to admit when you're angry.
Ethan, I promise you, this is really is gaslighting. I go to a lot of therapy right now, and this really is. When I say I'm not angry, I'm not.
Then soon the argument goes into how Trisha's ideas never get picked, like her topics or any vlog ideas, they never get chosen. And then they start disputing over revenue and production ownership. Anyone watching that knew what happened earlier that day had nothing to do with Trisha. She was just the scapegoat, unfortunately. And following this argument, unleashed the wrath of his fandom to start this crazy cancellation onto Trisha. It was the cancellations of all cancellations. But as we already discussed, Ethan's fandom, they're nuts. And they were tormenting Trisha, making her deathly afraid to say anything. Which in turn, turning her so incredibly woke out of fear of being canceled. Now she's doing great financially with her young audience. I definitely don't watch Trish like I used to. I wish I could. I try to watch her every now and again, but I can't. I can't watch her lie and just BS to all these young, impressionable, the audience she has. But that's an entirely different video. Like, we don't have time to go into all the toxic body positivity movement, how she wants poppers to stay legal. That's what she's telling your 14-year-old. YouTubers that have like the young, impressionable audiences, they're always the creepiest. They're always the worst. Like David Dobrik, Ethan, Mr. Beast, Colleen. It's just so good. Like my audience is my age because we have the same interests. We're interested. We talk about the same shit. I have nothing in common with the child. And Trisha's bio, maybe it's her song. It could be both. I don't know. But it says she's not afraid to speak her mind. Bullshit. She's so afraid to speak her mind because she doesn't want to lose her bag from the little kids. There's also a part of the song that says she says what everybody thinks. Yeah, if you're 14. That's why we used to love Trish back in the day. We used to love her because she used to say stupid stuff, satire. Her comedy was very ludicrous. As an adult, no one believed or thought like it was a joke. Everything she says was satire. Only a 14-year-old would agree with anything Trisha Paytas says. Both Trish and her co-host have both admit to knowing nothing about politics, and it shows. All they talk about is their weird fandom for like all the creepy celebrities that possibly went on all the creepy islands. Of course they preach the same woke talking points the celebrities and media preaches.
It's really not possible to point this out loud enough. If the mainstream media is behind your movement, you are not the resistance.
You're just cashing in on children and sucking up to celebrities and selling your soul to the devil for fame. Why can't mainstream media just be moderate? That makes me think. When you side with the media, then you might be pandering. Trish and her co-host just calls everyone transphobic because, like I said, they can't bother learning politics. And most of the people they're talking about are libtards too. They're just like huge feminists, just fighting for women's basic rights to feel safe in a public restroom, or fighting for the rights to feel safe in a sport she's in, or feel like she's equal to getting a scholarship in that said sport. Can anyone even name like a trans man that's actually trying to compete in a real men's sport, like a real man sport where you could get hurt? Can you name them? Go. Not everyone has good intentions. Not every trans woman is a trans woman. Sometimes it's a man wanting to cheat in sports. Just because you're black doesn't make you a good person. Just because you're gay doesn't make you a good person. Just because you're trans doesn't make you a good person. There's bad white people. There's good white people. There's bad black people. There's good black people. Not everything is black and white. There's nuances. And just because you're a minority doesn't automatically make you a good person. Trisha took the show on the road and now she's touring. And she admitted that these kids, they're like 14 or 15 that come to her show. And she says that their parents just drop them off all willy-nilly. Like, what happened to the days where people used to like, when are parents going to start being parents again? Like, oh my God. She talks about poppers. Like, listen to what your kids are watching. Miranda sings who? And Trisha's co-host has been asking a question for a really long time I would love to answer. He wants to know why over half the country doesn't like Rachel Zegler. And it's because she told over half of us she doesn't need our business and she hopes we find no peace.
I don't need your business. Thanks.
Now, Pedro Pascal has never said anything as bad, but we don't like him either. I was editing and Jacob wanted to cuddle and now I'm trying to get him. You want to cuddle, baby? I can't make a video without cute Jacob. And to remind everybody that Donald Trump was the first American president to ever step into office supporting same-sex marriage. Now, this would be the part of the show where the butterfly effect will happen. And time rewinds, and it says hours earlier.
Flashback.
Oh my gosh.
That's insane. I mean, it really is.
No, it's really scary. It's really scary, not only because it's so unbelievably talentless and unentertaining, but it's scary because you have kids going, okay, I won't read. I mean, I have a problem with your ideas. I want to be clear about I have a problem with the kinds of concepts that you were actually espousing and preaching to young kids, okay? I really do. But I also want to be clear here. There's a problem with either you are so lazy that you are incapable of doing basic research, or you are a compulsive liar. Here we go.
I have an email, by the way, from his
producer or something.
One of his producers trying to get me to come on the show. Here, I'll read it because there's some funny excerpts in it. So, hi, I'm a celebrity talent booker for Louder with Crowder. I'd love to book Ethan Klein.
Ethan?
Ethan Klein.
Who?
They even bolded my name.
If you haven't noticed yet, I have common sense. I lean more right. And I used to watch and listen to a podcast every morning called Louder with Crowder, Steven Crowder's podcast. Steven Crowder and his crew would do a live show every morning talking about news, politics. They also all were like comedians and like to do short skits, funny skits that were political. My favorite cast member of the Steven Crowder's podcast was Dave Landau. Dave Landau is a comedian. I've seen him several times do his stand-up. I've also seen Steven Crowder do his stand-up, and then he had a falling out with Dave Landau and kicked him off the show, and they parted ways. And yeah, so he kind of is like very diva like Ethan. They do have that in common. But Steven Crowder is brilliant. He is extremely smart. He knows his shit when it comes to news, politics, globally. Steven Crowder knows his shit. I think Ethan Klein always wanted to have his own political podcast, like Steven Crowder, but on the left. And I think that's why he was trying to teach Trish his woke ways, because he wanted to stick to the children, the Gen Z, because that's where his bag is. If you guys don't know who Steven Crowder is, he's known for the Change My Mind memes. If you've seen him with the table that says Change My Minds, where he goes to college campuses and debates. So the story actually starts when Ethan wants to debate Steven Crowder, and Ethan admits at the time he doesn't know much politically, and we all know he's scared to debate. Now, okay, so they wanted to debate each other. I can't believe Crowder did it, because usually Crowder wouldn't even entertain like that side of the internet. But they were willing to debate, but they didn't trust each other.
3 weeks later.
Of course, Ethan was going to. He doesn't know anything about politics. Of course, he was going to play dirty. Ethan was too afraid to debate Crowder, so he brought on a guy named Sam Cedars to debate Crowder.
I think you're right, because I don't think I'm a very good debater. I think you know that. So I didn't want to make it too easy for you.
Oh, okay. Oh, geez. Okay, so this is what's going to happen. What did I tell you? He was going to do anything he could to avoid. Oh, there he is. Oh no, Sam Cedar. What a fucking nightmare.
Thank you, Steven.
I had no idea this was going to happen. I thought Ethan was a stand-up guy. This is where we are. Yeah, well, Dave, remember I told you?
I just think he believes that he should debate you.
No, he doesn't. He just takes advantage of women with, mental health issues.
Crowder was obviously pissed, but not shocked, knowing that Ethan would pull some crap like this. And Ethan was just giggling like a little school kid, but you could tell he was nervous. He was embarrassed. First, Ethan had the mindset of his 12-year-old audience, but now he realized he was playing with adults. And this wasn't an own on his part. This was embarrassing. So what's the best way to soften the blow and hide from all the embarrassment? Start a fight with Trisha instead. So all the Gen Z drama channels will drown out YouTube with all the frenemies drama instead. Because adults that listen to political podcasts, they don't watch drama channels or to care about drama until me. Like and subscribe. Just kidding. But no, really, this was a horrible time in YouTube history, because poor Trish, she had to endure this savage internet attack, and this is when she became all retarded and woke.
I have an excellent idea. Let's change the subject.
Now, I have OCD, and I used to have a lot of tics, but I like to work with my mental health and triggers. But in the episode where Frenemies does end, you can tell that Ethan Klein's tics are a little bit more severe, since he is upset about what happened earlier that day with being embarrassed and stressed. When my tics will come on, or anything with my OCD flares up, it's if you're overwhelmed, if you're stressed, if you're lying. Cognitive dissonance does that shit. When you hold conflicting beliefs, it causes physical discomfort. AKA when you lie to your young audience, it reads in your face. That's why if anyone saw what happened earlier with Crowder and then watched Frenemies, they can tell that all the tics that was going on during Frenemies is obviously because what happened on Crowder's podcast.
Karma, she's my best friend. One step closer, here's how it ends.
So now with the ending of Frenemies, Ethan thinks it's the perfect time to finally start his political podcast called Leftovers. And this is when Karma enters the scene, escorting in the cross-eyed Hasan Piker. Hasan Piker is the only political leftist person I know. I think he's big on Twitch. So he's the only leftist I know. But he also panders to children. He has a young audience as well. Well, now with the war in the Middle East, it's trendy with the young kids to say free Palestine and to put little watermelon emojis in the comments. And it's cool to side with Hamas, or you're an adult and you're against Hamas. The anti-Semitism is strong. Didn't you guys learn anything about history? Jewish people have had it hard all throughout history. Truly, did we learn anything from the Holocaust? Jewish people are the smallest minority group in the world, the oldest religion. Jesus was Jewish. When is it going to end? Ethan Klein and his wife are Israeli. They're from Israel. So they're not big fans of Hamas. And Hasan Piker, allegedly, he loves to pander to children, so he loves Hamas. So unfortunately, the podcast Leftovers had their differences and parted ways. And now a lot of Ethan's ex-fans are sending CPS and cops to his house. And this is exactly what Jordan Peterson was talking about. When you pander to the mob, they eat their own. Like I said, this was a sad, tragic story about ego and karma, but these people are still millionaires at the end of the day. Narcissistic people are normally libs because they like to make excuses. They like to play victim. But yeah, let me know if you were one of these people that fell under this cross-contamination of audiences that were watching Frenemies and Steven Crowder when all this was going down 4 years ago. I'd love to know. I don't want to feel left out. But if you guys like this one, give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you in the next one. Boy, 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 boy.
Ladies and gentlemen.